Quagmire's dad caused a stir for how it handled the topic of gender identity. The episode starts with people hinting that Quagmire's dad might be gay, based on old stories from his military days. But the truth is different. He comes out as a trans woman named Ida and decides to go through with her transition. By the end, Quagmire finally accepts Ida, saying he just wants her to be happy. It could have been a solid moment of growth, but the episode didn't stop there. A lot of the jokes didn't sit right with people. Critics pointed out how often Ida was mocked or used as the punchline. The biggest complaint, a long scene where Brian finds out he unknowingly slept with Ida and reacts by throwing up for almost 30 seconds straight. LGBTQ+ advocates said the episode pushed tired stereotypes and did more harm than good. Family Guy might go after everyone, but some viewers felt this time they went too far without adding anything meaningful. Brian and Stewie was far from a typical Family Guy episode. No cutaways, no background music, just a baby and a dog locked inside a vault talking about life, fears, and regrets. But then came the diaper scene. Yep, that one. Stewie tells Brian to eat it, not joking. Brian hesitates, but ends up doing way more than just licking it. The scene pushed a boundary most shows wouldn't even approach. So of course, the PTC went off. They called it disgusting for the sake of being disgusting, and claimed Seth MacFarlane designed it just to push the limits of indecency. Was it bold? Was it gross? Maybe both, but in Quahog, even eating poop somehow makes it to air. In the 2,000-year-old virgin, Jesus wasn't just a background joke, he was the full focus. The Griffins find him alone during Christmas, and instead of showing any divinity, he's living like a moody roommate. No miracles, no grace, just complaints about family and an apartment that could use a deep clean. The shocker, he admits he's still a virgin, so naturally, the guys decide to help him lose it. Sounds weird already, right? But then Jesus sets his eyes on Lois, Peter's wife. What's worse, Peter agrees to the deal in exchange for a massage chair, but he reached the hotel room and stopped it. Turns out she didn't go through with it. Things only got messier when it's revealed that Jesus has pulled this exact move before on other husbands. The Media Research Center called the episode offensive and slammed it for mocking Christianity. Peter Asment hit a nerve with many, especially during a brief skit involving Terry Schiavo. The show used her real-life tragedy as part of a school musical Stewie participated in. And yes, they actually sang about pulling the plug. If you're wondering why that name sounds familiar, Terry Schiavo was the woman at the center of a massive legal battle over life support, one that involved her family and the whole country. Turning that into a musical number, it didn't sit right with a lot of people. Pro-life groups and even her family spoke out, demanding Fox cancel the show. The backlash was real. Some felt it crossed the line from satire to plain disrespect, but Fox didn't budge, and neither did the show. Screams of silence, the story of Brenda Q took things in a very different direction, and not in a good way. The episode tackled domestic abuse through the story of Quagmire's sister Brenda and her violent boyfriend Jeff. But instead of blending in dark humor like the show usually does, this one felt more like a drama. Brenda refused to leave Jeff despite the constant abuse, and it all led to Quagmire and the gang deciding to take justice into their own hands. The backlash wasn't about the ending, it was about everything in between. The jokes felt out of place, especially in an episode dealing with such a heavy topic. Viewers were left confused. The family gay episode definitely ruffled feathers, especially with the PTC. Peter signs up for medical experiments, one of which claims to turn people gay by isolating a so-called gene. And yep, Peter takes the money. Next thing you know, he's acting like the show's most over-the-top idea of a stereotype. But what really pushed the outrage wasn't even the lazy caricatures. It was everything else. Stewie casually eating cereal with horse milk, the same horse Peter had, let's just say, too much time with. That one moment had people pausing and asking, wait, what did I just watch? The PTC filed an official complaint for indecency, calling it overtly lewd. For once, even fans weren't entirely sure they could defend it. A fistful of Meg had the PTC up in arms. Again, this time it was all about Meg facing off against a new school bully. Sounds intense, but things got weirder fast. Instead of dodging the fight, Meg trains with Quagmire, who teaches her how to fight dirty, literally. From gross-out tactics to food-related chaos, Meg doesn't just win, she goes full monster mode. The PTC didn't hold back, calling out everything. Their complaint? That it wasn't just offensive, it was downright uncomfortable. Safe to say, frozen hot dogs have never been the same since. Extra large medium stirred a whole lot of conversation, some for its storyline, but mostly for a one-line dig at Sarah Palin. In the episode, Chris dates a girl with Down syndrome, and at first he treats her differently, but by the end he realizes she's just like everyone else. Flawed, direct, and human. That part actually kind of a solid message. That was the line that set off Palin, who accused the show of being cruel and heartless. What made it messier? The character was voiced by Andrea Faye Friedman, an actress with Down syndrome, who said she didn't find it offensive, and even called out Palin for using her own child politically. In Holy Crap, Peter invites his deeply Catholic dad, Francis, to live with the family. Big mistake. Francis is strict, cold, and constantly yelling about hell. Hoping to bond, Peter gives him a job at the toy factory, only for Francis to get promoted and then fire him. Peter's solution? Kidnap the Pope. That's right, he literally brings the Pope to win his father's approval. Surprisingly, it works. Sort of. Francis tells Peter he loves him, but also that he doesn't like him. Fans found it hilarious, but the PTC didn't. They accused the show of being anti-Catholic, mostly because of how Francis represented religious folks. But isn't that the point? If a character upsets you by reflecting your beliefs, maybe it hit a little too close. In the courtship of Stewie's father, Family Guy didn't hold back when it came to religion. The episode threw in a cutaway showing teenage Jesus arguing with Joseph, yep, full-on teen angst. Jesus tells Joseph is not his dad and tries to call his actual father, who basically ghosts him. Then, just to make things more awkward, God is shown trying to hit on a woman with a sad birthday excuse. It didn't sit well with the PTC. They pointed this out as another example of religion being used as a punchline on TV. And to be fair, when even God gets turned into a cringe character, it's clear the show wasn't aiming for subtle. In Family Guy, things take a strange turn when Lois finds out her mom is actually Jewish, something her dad hid so he could fit into elite social clubs. While Lois takes it well, Peter completely overreacts and starts claiming the Jewish lifestyle like it's a costume. Then, in classic Family Guy fashion, Peter's dead father shows up to guilt trip him for switching religions, even though the guy clearly didn't make it to heaven himself. Peter ends up begging Lois to hide her faith again. Things escalate when the Easter Bunny literally attacks their Passover dinner. Even Jesus steps in, revealing that he's Jewish too. But the backlash wasn't just about the wild plot, it was the constant money jokes, the outdated stereotypes, and even a spoof of Schindler's List that many saw as crossing the line. In Quagmire's Mom, things took a dark turn. Quagmire hooks up with someone he meets at Peter's party, only to wake up and realize she's still in high school. Shocked? Oh, definitely. But instead of treating it seriously, the episode plays it mostly for laughs. And that's exactly why the PTC went after it hard. They filed an indecency complaint and pushed others to do the same, saying it crossed the line by turning a serious topic into a joke. As expected, the complaint didn't stop the show, but it marked the final straw for the PTC. That was the last official report they filed. The drama ended, oddly enough, with a photo op between Seth MacFarlane and PTC's president. Business Guy got flagged real quick, and all it took was one lap dance. Carter had a heart attack after Peter gifted him a wild bachelor party featuring a dancer who, let's just say, stole the show. This scene alone triggered the PTC into action. 2 days after the episode aired, they filed a complaint, pointing fingers at the strip club content. But it wasn't the heart attack, the bad business decisions, or even Peter taking over a company he clearly wasn't ready for. Nope. It was the fact that a cartoon lap dance made it to air, and funny enough, their complaint didn't really go anywhere. Maybe someone should have told them about parental controls or remotes. When Family Guy finally teamed up with The Simpsons in The Simpsons Guy, fans expected chaos, and they got it. Characters like Bart and Stewie finally crossed paths, and of course they teamed up for a prank call. Bart played it safe, but Stewie? He took it way too far. His version of a prank wasn't just edgy, it crossed into serious territory. The PTC jumped in and asked Fox to remove the joke. Fox didn't. Surprisingly, though, some groups didn't find it offensive, saying the joke was clearly shown as wrong. Turban Cowboy was already walking on thin ice with its storyline about Peter getting caught up in a terrorist plot. But what really made headlines wasn't even part of the main plot. It was a cutaway gag where Peter says he won the Boston Marathon by running over people with his car. At first, it just seemed like another edgy Family Guy joke. But then, about a month later, the real Boston Marathon bombing happened. A fake clip started circulating online, making it seem like Family Guy had predicted the tragedy. It wasn't true, but the timing was rough. Fox pulled the episode from broadcast and streaming for a while. Even after it returned, that scene still feels off, especially knowing what happened afterward. One joke in Movin' Out, Brian's song, caused such a stir that Fox executives stepped in and told Seth MacFarlane to cut it. Right before the first commercial break, the original version showed a fake promo for The Simpsons, which was quickly ruined by Quagmire, who not only hooks up with Marge, but then proceeds to murder the entire Simpson family. Yep, every single one of them. What started as a jab at a rival show turned into something Fox didn't want aired. It was eventually removed from the original broadcast, but stayed in DVD and Adult Swim versions. The network even had to tell both shows to cool it with the jabs. In the adult education episode, Family Guy took things global, and not in a good way. The season 21 finale showed Meg living in Chelyabinsk, Russia, but the city looked more like a cartoon wasteland than a real place. Everything from radiation jokes to oddly happy villagers near nuclear plants made it feel like a running gag on stereotypes. One deputy from the actual city, Yana Lova, didn't find it funny at all. She called it a straight-up attack on Russia's image. And honestly, can you blame her? If a show made your hometown look like a radioactive joke, that'd sting too. Then again, Family Guy never claimed to be a travel guide, just a show that leans into chaos, no matter the backlash. In When You Wish Upon a Weinstein, Peter loses the family's savings on bad investments, like volcano insurance in Rhode Island. To fix it, he decides the solution is finding a Jewish man to manage his money. Yes, really, he even sings a full-on parody song called I Need a Jew, set to the tune of When You Wish Upon a Star. The backlash? Surprisingly, it wasn't just Jewish groups who were upset. The real legal trouble came from the owners of that original Disney tune. They sued over the parody, calling it offensive and unauthorized, but the court ruled in Family Guy's favor, saying it was protected under parody laws. Still, Fox delayed the episode, and it didn't air until 2003. PTV was Family Guy throwing punches straight at TV censorship. In the episode, the FCC starts censoring everything, so Peter launches his own wild TV channel, PTV, airing the kind of content the FCC hates. He, Brian, and Stewie even drop a full-on roast song about the FCC, mocking them with clips of the show's most outrageous moments. Oddly enough, the FCC didn't seem to mind. It was the Parents Television Council that lost it. They tried organizing a mass complaint, but didn't even file one. All that outrage and not one follow-through? Makes you wonder if they actually watched the episode or just panicked at the title. Either way, PTV hit a nerve and had fans loving it. One moment that ruffled feathers was the episode And the Wiener Is, so much that the Parents Television Council tried to shut it down. The PTC, known for calling out anything they think kids shouldn't see, filed a complaint with the FCC 4 years after the episode aired. Late but loud. The reason? Peter feels insecure after seeing Chris naked. He overcompensates by getting obsessed with guns. It led to awkward scenes. The FCC shut the complaint down, saying nothing shown was graphic. Still, people debated whether the jokes went too far. Depends who's watching and what part of the episode they were focused on. Not every Family Guy controversy is about offensive jokes. Sometimes it's just a tech mix-up. In Run, Chris, Run, Peter, and the gang play the classic NES game Double Dribble, and of course, Peter exploits the famous corner shot glitch. But the real problem came from where the footage of that glitch came from. Turns out, the show used a YouTube clip originally posted back in 2009 by a user named Switched without credit or permission. After the episode aired, YouTube flagged the original video for copyright by mistake, claiming it now belonged to Fox. Fox. That didn't sit right with the original creator or fans. Thankfully, the video was restored later. Family Guy has crossed a lot of lines. Some made people laugh, others made them furious. But not every moment got the same kind of heat. Which Family Guy scene do you think went too far or didn't go far enough? Drop your answer in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.